When I became a mother, everything I knew about my sex life was challenged. Everything I knew about my sex life had changed. When I was pregnant with my first child, I felt like a sexy goddess. I felt full of life, magical, curvy, sexy, and connected to my husband, Charlie. And I was convinced that I would effortlessly slide into my perfect vision of blissful working motherhood and happy domestic life. I thought I'd be raring to get back in the saddle at 6 weeks. I was certain that my husband and I would just carry on with our social life and date nights like nothing had happened. And I was sure that I would just bounce back in mind, body, spirit, and sex drive. I mean, has anyone ever been so naive? But I was certain of this sexy bounce back idea, not only because it's what I actually wanted, but I also felt it was my responsibility because of the life path and career that I've chosen as an entrepreneur and author in the sexual wellness industry. A huge part of my identity, personally and professionally, has been dedicated to feeling sexy as a woman and to empowering other women to feel sexy. And I was also really committed to being a leader in my relationship and keeping our sex life fresh and hot and alive. Along with friendship and shared values, sex has always been a real cornerstone in our marriage, and I really took a lot of pride in that. But when I became a mother, everything I knew about my sex life was challenged. Everything I knew about my sex life had changed. What was once easy and natural and fun and free suddenly became the opposite. Our sex life suddenly felt like a chore, like a real obligation. And this freaked me out because sex had always been an outlet where I would express myself and really just enjoy myself. But nothing about sleep deprivation and chronic exhaustion feels sexy. Nothing about having seriously lopsided breasts from a weird milk supply issue felt sexy to me. My body was much heavier than before, and I was just like, whose body is this? And am I ever gonna feel sexy again? And am I ever gonna wanna show this off again, like with the lights on? I also found myself feeling really overwhelmed with the millions of tasks and daily decisions I was making around motherhood and child rearing, and I began to feel resentment towards my husband. I was jealous that I felt he had so much more freedom than me, even though he was actually a super involved dad and very helpful partner, and that resentment was not good for our sex life either. I also became super focused on doing motherhood right, like above all else. I had become all mother all the time, and I felt I had started to lose myself, and with that I was also losing sight of the importance of romance and connection with my man. And one night he said to me, "Babe, come outside and look at the stars with me." And I outright refused him. I put my hand up and I said, "No, I have to wash the bottles." I mean, I literally shot down a romantic offer to connect with my loving husband because I was too busy sterilizing a sink full of bottles. And if I'm honest, I just felt like my sensuality and my passion was on pause indefinitely. I missed this part of myself tremendously, and I could feel my husband's confusion too, like, what's happened to my wife, my sexy, fun, vital wife? I could tell that he felt pushed to the side and sort of locked out, and I could tell he was sad about it. And of course, when I saw that in him, I felt really guilty. I didn't like feeling sexless. I didn't like feeling like our sexiest days were over just because we had become parents. And hearing myself tell him that washing bottles was more important than flirting under the stars was a real light bulb moment for me. And it was that moment where I decided to make a change and take charge and really take ownership of my desire again and become a more equal and alive and participating partner in our sex life again. So where do we begin? And how did we actually get out of this prolonged parental rut in our sex life? Well, first, I had to figure out how to feel sexy for myself again as a woman. For me, this meant going to sexy dance classes and going out with girlfriends for fun nights out where we made a pact not to talk about our kids. Getting out in this way made my life feel bigger again and more exciting, and just really helped me remember who I am. Second, my husband and I started talking a lot more about our sex life, but not in the you always want it, well, you always don't kind of a way that we had been. We committed to leave the blaming and scorekeeping behind us and approach this renewal of our sex life in a way more positive way. We sat down and asked each other the question, how can we co-create a sex life that feels exciting and compassionate for us both, that meets us where we are right now, but that can continue to evolve as we do? And I know that might sound like a mouthful, but approaching this conversation from a place of curiosity for where we might go together, instead of trying to go back to where we once were, that made such a huge difference. We also started actively doing sexy things together again. We'd book tickets to see a rock concert or a burlesque show. We would pause and go in for a long, sexy kiss in the middle of a toddler tantrum. We would talk about our fantasies over Chinese takeout instead of talking about, our kids' poop or what school forms we had to sign. And all of this helped reawaken the sense that we were still lovers and not just parents. And most importantly, we started putting sex on the calendar. And this put us on the same team to really make our sex life a priority again. And planning sex not only helped me manage my energy and prepare mentally and physically to show up with excitement, but it also helped us take our sex life to the next level. Because when we planned for it, we'd have time to think about it and anticipate it and brainstorm, like, what do we want to try this time? How are we feeling? What are we up for? And so this brought a lot of fresh creativity and pleasure back into the bedroom. So look, I didn't snap my fingers and rehab our sex life overnight. I was scared that it was lost and that I wouldn't be able to find it within myself again. And so it was a real process. And then I went through it all again after my second child. So really, it's a living, breathing part of your relationship and yourself, and it needs consistent attention. It's not just a one-time fix. But what I know is this. I know that when our sex life is healthy and we feel intimately connected and passionate for each other, that we are happier people, that we are a happier couple, and that we are much happier and more patient parents. And that with a little bit of open communication and effort and creativity, and by placing a little bit of structure around this incredibly important part of your relationship, that having an amazing sex life after kids is totally possible. So I hope this inspires you and that you'll practice some of what I shared here in your own relationship. Let me know if you have any questions in the comments below, and thanks for watching.